Shabbat Shalom. The last few weeks I've been in Israel, and I want to share some of my experiences with you. I don't want to give you a travelogue because many of you have been to Israel, and that would be a very boring way to tell a story. So I'm going to give you some highlights of the trip. They say that home is where the heart is, and I know when I get off the plane I certainly feel that way. But I always wonder for newcomers that come with us, is that really the way they feel the first time? We don't sugarcoat anything when we go to Israel. We tell the history and we tell the contemporary story of Israel. And we try to help people interpret this and learn from it and take away their own feelings about Israel and what it means to them. And I'd like to share with you a couple of stories that illustrate the trip and what we do and those feelings. The first is that when we start the trip, this time we started in the desert. And that's kind of where our people came from, where Abraham came from when he wandered many, many thousands of years ago out of what is today contemporary Iraq. And we went to a place called Yerushalayim, which is a town, it's a development town in the Negev. And we saw a program there called Ayalim, which is for young Israeli students who have come out of the army, done their travel log of going to Thailand or South America or wherever Israelis go after the army, and have now come back. And these are really the contemporary Zionists. These are the kids who now say, even though I've done my army service, I still want to give something back to my country. And so for doing this, they get a scholarship, but there's a requirement, and that is that they have to live in this little village on the edge of town or in a poor neighborhood in what we call caravans, which are these cement buildings, prefabricated cement buildings. And when you go inside, it kind of looks like your kid's dorm room in college. And they have to give back to the community while they're going through college, either by doing service with youth at risk, troubled kids, doing projects with them, or by doing actually a project in the community, building something, reconstructing something, helping a neighborhood to clean up. And these kids are really inspirational in what they do. And everyone in our group was taken with their stories of how they came back and decided they wanted to give something now in addition to their country. They've really made a sacrifice because living on the periphery in Israel, in the Negev, or in development towns in the Galilee is not an easy thing for anyone, let alone a student. Many times they have to take a long bus ride to the college or university that they're going to. And then they come home and they just have so much time to study, and then they have to go out and do these projects. And they do it with a joy in their heart that we only wish for our own children. So people walked away from there, and this was at the beginning of our trip, feeling very, very good. The other piece of it came later in the trip. The first Shabbat we spent in the desert. We had an opportunity to go under the stars and experience probably what our ancestors, what the prophets felt when they looked up into the heavens. But our second Shabbat, our last Shabbat, was in Jerusalem. And anyone who has ever been to Israel knows there's nothing like a Shabbat in Jerusalem. And so most of our group that Shabbat went to the Western Wall for their Shabbat experience. For some, it was the very first time. For some, it had been many, many years. And as you know, going to the wall on Shabbat is an amazing experience. You watch the yeshiva boys come dancing from the Jewish quarter down into the square in front of the wall. And then as you look around both on the men's and the women's sections, you see people praying in small groups. There's just an amazing cacophony going on in front of the wall. And at the end of our trip, we always ask people about what the highlights were of their experience. And for many, they cited this as being one of the most spiritual experiences of their lives. And it's something that is hard just to even describe unless you've actually experienced. So our group had a chance to experience both the contemporary, the new, the young, and then also to look at something that is ancient. Prayer may not have gone on in front of the wall because this was the Temple Mount's wall, but it went on in that vicinity thousands of years ago. And now we're recreating that experience in some way in contemporary Israel today. So these were just two pieces of our trip. which I will continue to relate to you over the next couple of messages in different ways. We'll talk a little bit about the politics and some of the observations, particularly in light of what all is going on in the Middle East. But I know that at the end of the trip, for most of our people, they truly felt that they had come home and that they look forward to their next trip visiting again. Shabbat Shalom, Hag Sameach Purim. I hope you don't get too stuffed on all your Hamantaschen, and I will speak to you also.